unsettling to be here actually. It's bringing back a lot of thoughts. Everything looks different. So, my name's Steve Hardy, 45-year-old. I spent 22 years in the police service. 22 of those years were as a hostage negotiator. So a negotiator, you'll have all seen a negotiator on the TV, you know, the guy dealing with the bank robbers or the terrorists. And although we do that, primarily most of our work is dealing with what we call crisis negotiation, people in crisis, suicide interventions if you want. We also deal with kidnaps, we deal with domestic barricade sieges, so we deal with firearms incidents, but the bulk of the work, you know, 90% of what we do is dealing with people in crisis. Oh, it's a really good question. I've dealt with hundreds, over the years, over the 14 years, hundreds of different kinds of suicide interventions where, you know, we've had people on the edge of cliffs, we've had people up trees with a noose around their neck, people in car parks. I guess this one is the one that changed my life. It's the one where, sadly, the outcome wasn't positive, and the outcome was that a young lady lost her life. So, being back here actually, it's the first time I've been back here since that night. You know, when we turn up as a negotiator to a job, you always turn up to do your best. You know, the reason that we're called is we've all received very specialist training in crisis communication skills, and we just want to do our best to get someone off. So this night, when I was coming here, all I was thinking was, you know, how long is it going to take me to get her off the cliff? It was 2 o'clock in the morning. The weather was similar to this, although it was dark. Obviously, it was blowing a hoolie, big seas, very loud. And all I could think of really was how long is it going to take me to get her off the cliff so I can get back and go to bed. Do you know what? There's been many jobs that have stuck with me, other than this one, obviously, where sadly a young woman lost her life. The one job that really resonates, that really sticks with me now, is a young guy, 18 years old, who was reported as a missing person by his family. So a high-risk missing person. He'd gone off with suicidal thoughts, having left a note. His family couldn't understand why he'd gone. Nobody knew where he was. And so I was asked to try and make contact with him on his mobile phone, trying to get some kind of engagement going. What we did know was that he was very anti-establishment, so he didn't really like the police for whatever reason. And no one had been able to get him on the phone or keep him on the phone in any way, shape. So I was asked to start doing this. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening, I remember. It was in the summer a few years ago. And he wouldn't answer the phone. I kept trying, he wouldn't answer the phone. Eventually I decided to start texting him. And like with any teenagers nowadays, it seems like they're more able to communicate via text or message or whatever. So I started doing that. He started to open up, started to tell me a bit about his life and how one particular aspect of his life was causing all these issues, and that aspect was his sexuality. You know, he was an 18-year-old guy who questioned his own sexuality and seemed very confused by it. So eventually, after a few hours, he let me call him. So I rang him up. In the meantime, we still had lots of police resources, helicopters, dogs, you know, everyone out looking for him, but we didn't really know where he was. We couldn't narrow it down. So I eventually started speaking to him, and he was a very upset young man. He was very, very emotional, very sad. He realised that he was gay, but didn't want to be gay, and really questioned his sexuality, and he was having some issues within the family. So anyway, we continued to talk. He started opening up, but then became more and more despondent. So he started making preparations for the end of his life, which is obviously very concerning to me, talking to him. And the more and more I talked to him, the weaker and weaker his voice started to sound. and over a period of an hour or so, he started from talking normally to almost laboured conversation. And it transpires that he'd actually cut his wrists whilst talking to me, and he was bleeding out, so clearly getting weaker and weaker. In the meantime and in the background, I'm trying to probe get as much information from him as I can about where he is, any landmarks that I could hone into, that I could pass to the units looking for him. And eventually he gives something away, a location which I recognised as being a local location. So we sent units to there. I continued to speak to him on the phone, and officers found him. They got to him just in time, saved his life. He was taken to a mental hospital. Sorry, he was taken to a mental hospital, and 2 days later I found out that he killed himself in the hospital. This was a lad, he was 18, my son's 18. I thought we'd saved him, but we didn't. So that one sticks with me, because that's obviously, it's a victory that we got him, we found him on that night. But all we did was succeed in giving him 2 more days. I got a phrase I like to use, is boxing it off. And in 22 years of being a police officer, I've seen some pretty horrendous things, experienced some horrendous things, as most people in emergency services do, I guess. And over the years, I like to box them off, and I mean that. You go to an event, you witness what you're witnessing, and then you try and put it in a box and file it in your head somewhere, so that never to be thought of again. And that's what I did with this. So after the young lady sadly lost her life, I put it in a box and I stuck it in my head, and it just went there with the rest of everything else, and that's where I thought it would stay. Sadly, on this occasion, the box lid wasn't on quite right, maybe, and this was something that I couldn't put to bed. This was something that I couldn't just file and move on. This is something that I needed a bit of help with. So, who thought that night, which was one of the worst nights of my police career, when we lost that young lady. Now, this is a woman who was 32 years old, who had 2 young children, who had everything to live for, but for whatever reason that night chose to be on the edge of a cliff. Subsequent weeks after this incident started to really sort of impact me, and I started to think about her life and my life, and what does it mean to me, and actually, is there anything else I can do with my life? At 45 years old, what can I do? And I decided actually to leave the police service, so which is massive, really. So as a result of this particular incident, and maybe it's an accumulation of all the stuff that I've dealt with and all the stuff that I've seen, but I started to think, what can I do? What can I do with my life? And what I've decided to do is this unbelievably traumatic moment in my life, back here and being around here and being, back. It's quite haunting being here, but I used it as a springboard to do other things. So I decided to become a businessman. I set up my own company. I've actually set up 2 companies since retiring from the police service. So and I hope to use the training that I had to be a negotiator and experiences that I've got to basically go out and do something else, to give back to the community that I served. I decided to write a book about this night, but also about all the other incidents that I've been involved in as a negotiator. So I'm writing a book. I've called it On the Edge. And it's just a bit of a I don't expect to be a best-selling author, but for me it's quite a cathartic thing to write down all the things that I've been through.